Alrighty, what's poppin', everybody? Welcome in. This is BabyNation.com back here with another video, guys. Welcome back to the Week 5 Analytics Predictions. This is where we dive into the stats of everything. We get to break every single game down, which we'll actually have more time to do this week because there's less games. We get to pick against the spread, over, under, and straight up, and final score. All that stuff for you guys. So if you guys haven't already, make sure to hit the like, subscribe button for me. Make sure to join the Discord, links in the description. Make sure you guys do follow me on Twitch. I'm Miller28, so you guys don't miss any future streams or live or anything like that. And then make sure you guys as well go check out our NBA fantasy preseason is coming up soon. So if you guys do want to join, by the way, our NBA pick show will be coming back this year. So if you guys want to check that out, make sure you guys do so. The links in the description. And I'll eventually have a due date for that. I do not have one for right now, but I will have one there in a minute. So down below, guys, and on the screen you guys can see what I did the previous weeks and stuff. And I'm actually pretty happy about what I did last week. Regular picks record, that's my 4 straight 5-week loss. I don't like that personally. Listen, I know it's probably better. It's probably better off to a start than what I had according to last year, but still, I just think that's too many losses. 4 straight losses weeks. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but I don't know what they include in the tie or not, so I just didn't include it at all. Same thing for the pick show. I didn't decide to include it, but because it'll be like 1, so I didn't really count ties. So I'm at 43 and 20 right now. But if you do look at spread picks, I'm at 35 and 29. Overall, it's pretty good. I'm actually kind of happy that I'm even above 100 in this case. And then over under pick so far this year, 34 and 32. But if you take a look at what I did last week, 10 and 5, spread picks, and went 6 and 8. Okay, I'm not happy about that, but I think we could do a little bit better. And then, but I am happy about the over and under. I actually went 13 and 3 last week on over and under picks. So that is really good. So that's by far the best I've done in channel history. So let's see if we can keep that going here. There's a lot of tough games this week. Picking against over, under, and spread picks. So I do think I am going to be doing worse than what I did last week. But like I said, I think this week is a little bit more tougher when it comes down to all that. So like I said, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and of course, and then let's go ahead and see what I got for week 5. Alright, if you guys haven't known, the bye week does start this week, so before we hop into anything, we have to take a look at the NFL Week 5 bye week teams. And this week, we have the Packers, the Steelers, the Bears, and the Falcons all on the bye this week. So guys, enjoy your break. We'll see you guys in week 6. The Packers are kind of in a good spot right now. 1-1, ended up getting the tie against the Cowboys last week. Let's see how they come back in week 6 and adjust. The Steelers are actually surprisingly in a pretty good spot right now. They're 3-1, and knowing what happens this weekend and what my picks are, there could be a scenario that the Steelers increase their lead in the division. So I think the Steelers, despite the injuries in that conference, it's probably off to a pretty good start this year. So we'll monitor that. But right now, Pittsburgh looks like right now they're in a good spot. The Bears, the Bears are in an okay spot. The only reason I say okay, yes, they're 2-2, I think. Or the Bears 2-2, I think they were 2-2. But the Bears, they're in an okay spot. But at the same time, that division's so tough that you just don't know what's gonna happen. So we'll see what happens this week. But the Bears are in an okay spot, not the best spot in the world. Yes, their losses should have been wins on some of those games that they already played, that they should have lost their first 2 games and they should have won. But the Bears are in a okay spot. And then the Falcons are not that bad of a spot too. They're 2-2. I believe I do have the Bucs losing this week. So the Falcons are not in the bad spot either. Like I said, that's a wide open division. It could go either way. But yeah, those are your bye week teams for week 5. And then let's go ahead and get into things here. Alright, everybody, let's go. Let's tip off for some Thursday night football. Once again, we have the San Francisco 49ers taking on against my Los Angeles Rams. I got the Rams winning this game 27-14. here. I just think the advantage when it goes to the Rams. We take a look at their offense and what they've done this year. My Rams, we've been phenomenal on the offensive side of the ball so far this year. I know it's a little bit inconsistent. I know we had some inconsistencies down the way, especially last week against our win against the Indianapolis Colts. We did turn over the football in a bad situation, but this team just always it feels like their defense can give them stops down the field that their offense can go down there and score the ball at times. Plus, I like what I'm seeing out of my guys. I like what I'm seeing out of Devontae. I think he's like a slot receiver, wide receiver too. He's looking really good. Puka looks like the best wide receiver in football right now, and I don't think anybody should disagree with me on this. Puka Nacua looks like he's going to break multiple records this season. Matthew Stafford still playing really well. Kyren Williams playing really well. So I think that Rams offense, they should be able to move the ball down the field. Now, if it was a healthier San Francisco team, now I know we're going to talk about San Francisco here in a minute, just how depleted they are, because they are depleted. They're missing like everybody on the roster, and it's kind of unfortunate that that's kind of the way how San Francisco is going right now. But when we look at San Francisco, I think it just announced this morning that Brock Purdy's going to be out, Rico Parsons is going to be out. Who else is going to be out for San Francisco? Jawan Jennings is going to be out. George Kittle is out. So I think Mac Jones is going to be starting in this game, and I just don't like the matchup here of him playing against a really good defense in the Rams. So I just feel like the advantage here goes to the Rams, man. Like I said, it's just kind of if San Francisco was healthier, I actually do think this would be a more competitive game here. But it's Thursday Night Football. It's playing in LA. The Rams are the better team, the better and healthier team going into this game. Like I said, I think it's just really hard for me not to pick against my own guys, especially in the situation that San Francisco's in, dealing with all those injuries. And as a matter of fact, their defense is still not bad. They say their defense. That's why I'm looking at the Rams 27. But I can easily pick this game to be like a 34-10 game or something like that. But I'm not going to. I give San Francisco credit. They battle through injuries and they're 3-1, so they find ways to win games too. But this is probably the hardest game that they had to play yet this year. So advantage goes to LA in this one, 27-14. Rams -5.5. I did look at that spread and I was kind of iffy on it. I think the spread moved to 8.5. I'm not sure, but I'm not comfortable about it. But the last time I saw it was 5.5, so we're gonna stick with that. But anyway, I would take the Rams with that, and then over under 44.5. I'm actually feeling with the under in this game. I think we're going to see a little bit more defense and offense. So I think this game's going to be a little bit of a slow-paced game, but at the end of the day, I'm going to go with LA here on Thursday Night Football. All right, next up we have the Vikings taking on against the Cleveland Browns. I have a lot of games this week that's just kind of like lower scoring, like not really that too much of an entertaining game. But this is kind of one of them here. This game will be in London. And if you guys are wondering, the Vikings are staying cross country over there. Cleveland has to travel over there, but I'm gonna take the Vikings here, 13-10. I think they do bounce back, at least get one win in that European area down there. Listen, the Vikings, they said they performed like trash last week against the Steelers, especially offensively. Now I know you can only look at that score and say like, oh my god, the Vikings only lost by 3. How could they play bad? Like, yeah, if you would have watched that game, yeah, they played like shit up until the fourth quarter. Me looking at Cleveland. Cleveland put up another good test against the Lions early on, and then they ended up getting their asses kicked, which, I mean, I'm pretty sure we kind of all expected that. But last time I checked for the Browns, I did hear that Myles Garrett was in a little bit of an injury situation. I think he was questionable with something. So we will continue to monitor that, which I do think he is a key piece of the game. If Cleveland doesn't have Myles Turner, I don't think they have no shot of winning this. But at the same time, Minnesota's missing players too. They're missing guys up front on the offensive line. Even though the Brian Flores' defense, I still think it's really good. Like I said, you only held the Steelers 24 points, and that team was looking pretty good offensively prior to that. So I can't really blame them for that. But it's just their offense. Their offense has to move the football. And if Myles Garrett is out, that's going to create a huge advantage for Minnesota. I didn't really like what I saw Carson Wentz last week compared to the week prior to that, but I do think he will somewhat bounce back in this game. Now, I know you're playing against the best defensive overall in football right now, so like I said, I'm kind of expecting this one to be a defensive game. I'm not really expecting too much offense here, but I think both teams are really good defensive teams. I just think this game is going to come down to which offensive team do I trust the best more, and that answer is definitely the Minnesota Vikings. So that's why I'm going to take them here. I can see the Browns winning this game. There's absolutely a chance the Browns actually do win this game, but I just got to go with Minnesota. I believe in their offense more. I'm just not a really big believer in that Cleveland defense. Not Cleveland offense. I am believing their defense, but not the offense. So 17-10 here, under. I'm cool about that. Take the under. I probably would guarantee on that, honestly. And then Minnesota minus 3.5. Like I said, the only reason why you're taking that if Cleveland wins the game or this is your 1-point game of the week. But anyway, I'm going to go with the Vikings here, squeaking out a win, getting out of London with the win. All right, next up here we have the Raiders taking on against the Indianapolis Colts. I say the Colts bounce back here. I'm going to go 30-20 here. The game could be somewhat interesting here, but I actually do think it's going to be interesting. The Raiders look like a mess right now, and I think that's the only way to define it right now. They look messy. Geno Smith was messy, but one thing I did what I did see with the Raiders last week is at least they put up some points in drive last week, and at least that looked somewhat well. Their defense plays somewhat well, but at the end of the day, they still lost to the Bears, and that was a pretty exciting game. We saw some good stuff all around the board from the Raiders, which is unfortunately they just fell short. But they do look messy while doing it. Don't get me wrong. Geno looks messy. The whole offense looks messy. Miller at the Colts. The Colts suffered a tough loss against my Rams last week. But listen, I explained about it all last week. I said last week's going to test to see if the Colts are real or not. They only ended up losing by 7 points, so they wanted to deal with me. So they are actually legit. The Colts are a good team. They're back at home where they have dominated all season long. Well, can't really say all season long because they only played 2 games down there. But yeah, I'm gonna go with the Colts here, 30-20. I don't see the Colts losing this game. I would be shocked if the Colts lose this game, especially how good they've been this year, and then just being at home. Daniel Jones, he should go back to being himself. He should, from the previous 2 weeks at home. Even just every game prior to last week, I think Daniel Jones is gonna get right back to that. I actually do think the Colts defense can do some damage here. The Raiders are probably one of the more turnover-prone teams in the NFL this week. I mean, in the NFL just in general. So I can see it happening. But the Raiders, they just got to get more consistent off. I just don't trust the Raiders enough, especially offensively. I'm going into a really good offensive team like the Colts. I do think they will bounce back at home. Take the Colts with the spread. I was kind of questioning this with the spread actually because 6.5 could be a little bit too much for this game, especially against the Raiders team that competes. So I was thinking about it, but at the same time, like Colts are at home, they should be able to take care of business here. So I'm going to lean more towards the Colts in that one, but that could go either way. And over 47.5, I actually feel pretty good about that because I do think both teams can go down the field and score. Colts defense it's good, but it's not the best in the world. So I can absolutely see the Raiders going down there and scoring the ball at times with like Ashton Jeanty in the running game. But that's why I think the Raiders got to really rely on this game. It's more of a run because the Colts pass defense is actually not that bad. Ever since prior to last week, well, you can't do anything last week because you're playing against the Rams. You're playing against a good team, but yeah, normally their pass defense is pretty good. So like I said, at home, Indianapolis, I have to go with the Colts to win this game, and I'll be kind of, like I said, I would be shocked if they do lose this one. But 30-20 here, pretty entertaining game all around the board. Expect the Raiders to compete again, but just not win it. Just kind of the same similar story as last week. Next up here, it's probably one of the hardest games to pick this weekend. It's kind of one of the games I'm just kind of stuck. Like I'm just stuck because I just don't know who to pick here. And now it's the Giants at the Saints. Like I just did not know what to do here. I first looked at this game and I was like, what the hell am I going to do here? I was just stuck in mud and I just did not know what to do here. But even with Malik Nabers being out, I know that's going to be a huge hit for Dallas. I mean, that's going to be a huge hit for the Giants here. But I'm going to take the 21-17, man. I said this one could go either way. I'm not too confident about picking either team here because I think the Giants are just significantly better. Now, if the Giants had Malik Nabers, I am guaranteeing going the Giants. I'm taking the Giants as everything, spread over everything. Like I would guarantee on the Giants, but because Malik Nabers is not playing, I'm wondering how Jackson Dart is going to do. And we saw some good things out of Jackson Dart last week. He looked comfortable in the pocket. He scrambled. He looked like he had a pretty good game there, and I think he just did enough for the team to win the game. And I really do think that Jackson Dart should be the starting quarterback here throughout for the New York Giants. Like I said, I think he looks good right now. Now we only see him play one game, but we will see. This is another good test for him. I mean, he's playing the Saints, a team that's not really that good. And I do believe in him. I think he can do some great things on the football field. And plus, another reason I'm getting excited here to the Giants is because their defense. I think the Giants' defense is really good. Last week I saw I saw some good things out of the defense last week. They forced some pressure last week, and they look good while doing that. Were they the best in the world? No, but did they do what they need to do? Yeah, they got the job done. And so yeah, that's another kind of thing we're feeling towards the Giants. We look at the Saints. I just don't know what to expect at the Saints. You know, the Saints are 0-4, but I will say this. However, I will say this out of the Saints. They have been they did a good job, especially with the Bills last week. They done a good job with hanging around with teams, and I do think they are more than capable enough to winning this game. And I do think they're more than capable of hanging around in this game. I do think they will, but I don't think they'll win. Like I said, I do think the Saints should have some problems offensively. I do like this Giants defense a ton, and I do think they can force some pressure, cause some issues up front. So in a defensive game here, I'm gonna lean towards the Giants. But like I said, if the Giants have Malik Neighbors, I'm kind of feeling more comfortable about this pick. But one thing I am feeling comfortable about anything in this pick is the under. I feel really good about the under 41.5. I just don't see a scenario how this game against the 41 or both teams put up at least a efficient offensive performance here, especially how banged up and how these teams are. So I'm gonna lean towards under this game, and the Giants plus 1.5. I also feel pretty good about. Like I said, the only reason you're picking the Saints if you have the Saints winning the game in that scenario, But 21-17 defensive game here, but I just trust the Giants defense more. I trust their team all around more, so I'm going to lean towards the Giants with this one, but this one is up in the air, and realistically, this one can go either way. Next up, we have the Cowboys taking on against the New York Jets. I have the Cowboys taking care of business here, 28-24. And I know we just talked about the Giants and Saints game, and that game being like more of a defensive game. But I think this one could go either way too. But I think this one's going to be more towards the offense side of the ball that we're going to see more of. Listen, Dallas, they played well. I'm not going to lie, Dallas did play a lot better than I thought they were ever going to last week. They were getting their asses kicked last week, and I think that's rightly so, right? Especially on the defensive side of the ball. They allowed 40 points and did not look good defensively, but at the same time, I think we kind of all expected that. But their offense played really well, actually without CeeDee Lamb, and I was actually really impressed with what I saw from Dallas last week. Seeing their offense generate without CeeDee Lamb, they still threw up 40 points even without CeeDee Lamb, and that's a pretty good sign moving forward. So I will give the Cowboys that. Dak Prescott looks good. George Pickens looks like he's gonna emerge into that next wide receiver role, kind of more into that CeeDee Lamb type role. Me looking at the New York Jets, the Jets look sloppy. They look sloppy. They're kind of like the Raiders. They look sloppy. They getting out coach, outplay. Yes, they only lost by, what did they lose by? Was it 5 last week at the Miami Dolphins? But still, they still didn't really play good. I wasn't really impressed about their performance Monday Night Football. I know they're returning at home, but the Jets, they normally suck at home, and that's just. I do think this will be a great game. I think this one will go back and forth. I do think both offenses will score points, but I'm leaning towards Cowboys more. Yes, I do know that the Cowboys defense is shit. I don't think that's an argument. The Cowboys defense is awful. There's no regretting. The Cowboys, in my opinion, they're probably the worst ranked defensive team in football according to my rankings. But yeah, but at the same time, like, can you really trust the Jets? The Jets, they just seem undisciplined every single week. The Jets they seem like a team that's just making like a minor simple error every single week. They're making this error every single week that's just coming back to bite them in the ass to lose every single game. And unfortunately for the Jets, like, I want to pick the Jets here. I really want to, but I just couldn't do it. So even though I do think this game will be fun, I think we're going to see offensive side of the ball. Dak Prescott, he's playing well. Justin Fields, he's playing well for the Jets. And Garrett Wilson, he's also playing really well for the Jets. But I just don't see the Jets winning this game. I just don't see how they're gonna keep up with Dallas's offense here. Yeah, like I said, even though I do expect them to keep it close, I'm just not expecting them to win it. So 28-24 I got here. I have a kind of like a high scoring shootout here. Over 47.5. Like I said, I feel good, especially how this game should be more of an offensive game. Both of these defenses ain't really too much anything right now, so both teams should be able to move the ball effectively on the running game, do whatever. Both teams should be able to do whatever they want to on the offensive side of the ball. So over 47.5, I feel pretty good about. And then Dallas minus 2.5. Like I said earlier about the last game, the only reason you're picking the Jets there if you basically have them winning the game. So So yeah, with this one, I think it's going to be fun. I think we're going to see a lot of fireworks offensively, but I trust the Cowboys more to have that extra possession to win the football game, and I believe they'll do just that. All right, next up we have the Denver Broncos taking on against the Philadelphia Eagles. This game is going to be entertaining, and let me tell you, this game's going to be entertaining. It's going to go back and forth. But I'm going to go ahead and admit it right now. This is my best game of the week. There's a couple of best game of the week contenders. Okay, like you could say that maybe Tampa Bay and Seattle, that could be the best game of the week, and we'll go ahead and get that. We'll go ahead and get into that in a minute here. But but my pick here, I'm gonna be taking the Eagles here, 23-20. I was thinking about taking Denver here. I will be completely honest. I was thinking about taking Denver. Because Denver looks good right now. I think their team is way better than what the record shows. Even though they're 2-2, I think they're way better than that. I think they look like a 3-1 team, or a 4-0 team. But Denver had to play some tough competition, and you could say like they could have won that game against the Colts a couple weeks ago. They could have won a couple of these games, and I absolutely understand. They probably should have won these games. They probably should be a 3-1 team right now. But I do think this team is good enough to give the Eagles a fight. I will guarantee you that they're good enough. I do think both defenses will come out to play. Offensively wise, I don't know what to really expect here. Both teams will run the ball. Saquon hasn't really been that good either. I mean, he's good, but he hasn't really been that good, as productive as he were last year. So if the Broncos can get on them a little bit, I do think that will force the Eagles to throw the ball, which I do think that's kind of they're a little weak to right now. Even it's not really a weakness, but it's a slight weakness because Jalen Hurts, he doesn't really like to throw the ball that much. So if Denver can force some pressure on them, I do think there will be a chance that Denver wins this game because the Eagles' passing attack is not. I mean, it's still good, but it's not as good as it was before, or just kind of the vibes that we get from the Eagles this year, but. At the end of the day, like I just said in the picture yesterday, the Eagles, they just find a way to win ball games. I don't think it really matters the scenario, what they're down by. If they do trail this game, I just don't think it would matter. And so that's just the one thing that Philadelphia has always been consistent at this year, is just winning these close games. And at the end of the day, I just think they're going to do that again. So I'm going to go 23-20 here today. I'm expecting a good game here. I'm expecting both teams to have some good offensive moments. I'm expecting Bo Nix to have a good performance. And I do think we're going to see some great things out of that Denver offense too. So I'm kind of expecting more of an overall complete game. Both defenses and the offenses playing really well in this game. So overall, this should be one of the best. Like I said, this is my best game of the week. I could have went another direction with this, but this is the one I decided to go on. But yeah, like I said, the other day I got Philadelphia squeaking out here, game-winning field goal. Or special teams block like we've seen the last 2 weeks, which is ridiculous. But I'm going to take the over 43.5. I'm kind of leaning towards the over. I know I have the mark indirectly at 43, but if I had to make a choice, I'm going to lean towards the over on that. So I'm going to go with the over on that. And then Philly minus 3.5. Like I said, I recently did see the spread. I think I saw it like Philly 6.5 at one point. Okay, so I'm like, absolutely, yeah, I'm going with the Broncos. And then I was thinking about it again. Okay, so the line moves again to 4.5. I was like, okay, this gets more interesting, but I go the Broncos. Now since it's back to 3.5, Vegas is really thinking something here. So Denver actually has to fight to win the game, and I think they do. But 3.5, I just think that's too small for me to pick the Broncos. Like I said, if it was a 6.5 when it was originally, I would have went with the Broncos to cover that spread. But it's too big now. I mean, it's too small now. So we're gonna go with the Eagles here. Should be a pretty entertaining game. Alright, next we have the Dolphins taking on against the Panthers. Man, give me the fucking Panthers. I don't fucking care what anyone says. Give me the Panthers. I'm going to take them 20-21 here. I know it's a shocker to a lot of y'all that I'm actually taking the Panthers. Because the Panthers, they were horseshit. They are horseshit. They are horseshit this year. And I think that's still regretting it. But at the same time, they're at home. And the first thing I thought about this match, I was like, okay, Miami's clearly the better team. Miami's going to win. It's whatever. It is what it is. We have to pick Miami. Miami's a better team, and all that stuff has to happen. But there's a few questions that when I first saw this matchup, I was like, oh yes, I'll go on Dolphins all the way. But then I had to think about a couple things here. So, to let you know, last week, even though the Dolphins did win, and even though their offense looked kind of fluid last week, they're missing Tyreek Hill, and I know the Dolphins can like overcome that. But the question is, how are they going to overcome that? How is Tua Tagovailoa going to recover from that? How is he going to get the ball out to like Jaylen Waddle. Now that definitely puts a lot of pressure on Jaylen Waddle. Let's be honest. It puts a lot of pressure on. Same thing with Antonio Smith. It puts some pressure on them both. Or Darren Waller, my bad. That's what I meant to say. Darren Waller. It puts a lot of pressure on Darren Waller. But at the same time, I thought about this game again. I'm like, okay, Tyrod being out. Now you have to go on the road to Carolina, who Carolina, like I said recently, Carolina looks like horseshit right now, right? I think everybody's gonna say, right? Carolina looks like horseshit. But at the same time, the Panthers actually looked good at home. That's where the one win came out, and it came off a 30-0 win against Atlanta. So I was kind of going back and forth with this one. But with this game being in Carolina and how good Carolina played at home in their home opener, I think Carolina, I'm kind of steering in the direction that Carolina's a home team. Knowing what they do at home so far this year and what they have done on the road this year, it's kind of leading me towards that, okay, Carolina's probably going to be a good team at home. Meanwhile, they're going to be a terrible team on the road. And even though like the Dolphins are probably the better team here, but I'm going to say this like this, and I've said this many times about the history of the channel. The Panthers, they're at home playing against a team that is not too much better than them, and I think everybody can agree with me on that. So, with that being said, I do think Bryce Young can have some good. I do think Bryce Young can have a good game in this one. I do want to see the Panthers run the ball with Trevor Hubbard in this game, and I can say the same thing about the Dolphins and about Stephon Achane, and that's probably going to be the Panthers' main difficulty on defense, trying to guard Stephon Achane, because he is pretty damn good. But at the same time, like I said, I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to go with the Panthers in this one. And it was kind of funny because yesterday's pick show, everybody was like leaning towards the Panthers, and I was shocked because I thought there were like two. I thought only like me and like Cam were going to be the only ones over there, but no, everybody picked the Panthers, and I was shocked about that. So. So I'm actually feeling pretty good about this one. I'm going to take the Panthers here, plus 1.5. I'm not surprised. Now, the line was the Dolphins. I think Dolphins were favored by 2.5 opening up, but the Panthers were favored a little by a moment, and then it went back to the Dolphins. But the Panthers plus 1.5. Like I said, usually you're taking the Panthers there, and you have the Panthers winning the game, and in this case, I do. So. Gotta take the Panthers with the spread there, and then over 44.5. I put it pretty good as well. I think we're going to see a lot of offensive moments in this game, though. Not both of these two teams are not good defensive teams at all. So I think the over is pretty safe here to bet on. But like I said, Panthers at home playing against a team that's not too much better than them. I think I'm gonna stick with them here. All right, next up here we have the Texans playing on against the Baltimore Ravens, and the only reason why I say old brother is because you just look at this game and you be like, man, this game was going back to the calendar, going back to the regulars. So from the NFL season even started, I think we all look at this game and be like, oh my god, this is going to be a hell of a game. Texans at Ravens, let's go. Let's fucking do this, right? Everybody thought that this was going to be a great game. Everybody thought this was going to be an incredible game. But at the end of the day, this game turns into a shit show, and that's why this game, well, at least it should be, but it is what it is. This is the worst game of the week. I just don't see anything happening in this game really. But it's kind of hard to predict how you go from the Ravens' perspective, how you go from Lamar Jackson to, I think it's Carson Wentz. No, it's not Carson Wentz. It's I'm not sure, but whoever the backup quarterback is, I'll look it up right now. But anyway, still, like I said, I don't think this game's going to be entertaining. I don't think we're going to see anything offensively. I'm not really expecting too much defensively. I'm not expecting too much of anything in this game. I'm not expecting Cooper Rush. That's when that Cooper Rush is his backup quarterback, Cooper Rush with Ravens. But especially like going from Lamar to Cooper Rush, I think you have to download a completely different game plan. And I do think that puts a lot of pressure on Derrick Henry, because knowing Cooper Rush, they're probably going to have to run the ball a lot, but at the same time, the Ravens are playing against the Ravens are out here playing against one of the best defensive teams in football in the Houston Texans. So yeah, I'm gonna go 17-14 here. I do think the Texans should be able to take advantage of the Ravens' injuries here, but at the same time, I'm not so comfortable about it. That's why I almost decided to go with Baltimore anyway. I almost took them anyway because I don't believe in Houston's offense. I think Houston's offense is probably the worst in football right now. They can't move the football. They look like they can't do anything on offense, no matter what they do on the pass, the running game. So I just don't know. And yes, they scored 26 points last week, but if you actually went back and watched that game, they only scored like 6, and it was like 7 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. So I don't know if I can trust that myself. But But whatever. I guess I'm going with the Texans here. Like I said, I'm not comfortable with any of my picks here for this game. Under 44.5, except for that. Now, I do like that. Under 44.5, I do like that. I had to put in black because the red was shaving the red, so I had to put in black. But in Houston minus 1.5, I mean, you have Houston winning the game, so you have to do it. I mean, that's kind of like straight up 2 for the line. So yeah, 17-14. Like I said, not expecting too much here. I am curious how Baltimore's going to perform, especially Lamar Jackson. How, like it says, I think Lamar Jackson is doubtful, so I'm going to, based off this prediction, that he's not going to play. But if he does somehow suit up, then I'm taking the Ravens. I'm telling you guys right now, if Lamar plays, I'm switching over to the Ravens. I'm taking the Ravens like 31-17, something like that. So yeah, like I said, I don't think he's going to play. So my answer here is the Houston Texans. They should be able to take care of this, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't trust the Houston's offense. I don't trust what they're doing the offense side of the ball. I just don't trust any of it. So I don't know. This game going. I'm not gonna lie, I just don't like this game. Alright, next up we have Tennessee Titans taking on against the Arizona Cardinals, and I think you guys already know what I'm gonna say. Matchup, everything favors Cardinals. Listen, Tennessee looks like a mess right now, and I know I said that about the Raiders, and I know I said that about the Jets, but it's true. Tennessee just looks awful. I just don't trust when anything's happening in Tennessee. It just feels like a disaster down there in Tennessee. I just think this pick is just plain and simple here. I just feel like you have to go with Arizona here. Tennessee, without a doubt, looks like the worst team in football at the moment. It's kind of unfortunate for him because I am a Cam Ward guy. I do think he will do good eventually, but Tennessee just don't have the pieces, and I think we just saw it all last week. They ended up getting their asses kicked. Even though the defense held in there for a little bit, but I should say majority of the game, because that's what really happened. But at the end of the day, they got their asses kicked, and that's just plain and simple. I mean, that's just what happened. Anyway, look at the Cardinals here. The Cardinals ended up getting they took a tough loss last week against the Seahawks, and the Cardinals, they looked a little iffy while they're at the process, but at the same time, even when you want to take a look at the Cardinals and say they had a rough performance offensively, and they kind of did, and it's kind of unfortunate for Arizona because now you're not just dealing with, and I actually just saw it this morning, they're not just have Trey Benson on injury report too, they also have James Conner, so now both of them on the injury report. So I don't know who the Cardinals are going to start at running back. I have no idea. I just saw it this morning, but that does not change my answer here. The Cardinals, they're just significantly the better team here. They're at home. I do think they should be able to cover that spread, but I do think that's a little risky on my part. So if I'm you guys, I'm probably going with Tennessee to cover that spread, but at the same time, they're the worst team in football. I don't trust anything that they're doing right now, except for the defensive side of the ball. I do believe in their defense a little bit, but besides that, I just don't believe in their offense. I don't think their offense can do anything. So the Cardinals wearing the black uniforms at home, they should be able to take care of business here. Like I said, I would be surprised if the Cardinals, even without James Conner or Trey Benson, I would be surprised if the Cardinals lose this game. So Arizona, like I said, 7.5 could be a little risky. Pick who you want to there. I don't really care, but Cardinals, my 7.5, like I said, could be a little risky on my part. And under 42.5, I'm confident. If I'm confident, you guys should be confident. Take this one with confidence. With the under, like I said, I feel great about that. 26-13 though is what I got for the Cardinals, but a little risk there picking against the spread this week. But I do want to see Kyler Murray go off in this game, and I think this game it's the game to do it. Alright, next up we have the Bucs taking on against the Seattle Seahawks, and definitely one of the more entertaining games of the entire weekend. Also one of the funner games just to look at. I'm talking about from a Locust perspective, one of the funner games just to look at. When both teams were in the retro, it looks great. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get right into it since you guys already know the score. This is my 1 point game of the week. This game was actually a strong contender for being my best game of the week. I mean, there's a lot of awards that this game could have went to. Best game of the week, 1 point game of the week, trickiest game of the week. There's a lot of awards that we could have handed out for this game. But since I'm going to go with the Eagles and Broncos for my best game of the week, and this is not the trickiest game, I think there's another game that's even more trickier than this one. But I'm going to say this one leads me to my 1 point game of the week. And for that, I am going to be taking Seattle to actually win this game. I'm going to go 24-23. Last time I would actually normally take the Bucks in this game because I do believe in Baker Mayfield. I do know how clutch the Buccaneers are, but I looked back in the injury report and I did see that Bucky Irving was kind of, I'm not sure what his status is, but last time I checked, I think he was questionable in this game, almost headed towards doubtful, almost headed towards not playing. So if that holds up, I'm definitely feeling more comfortable about Seattle, especially that knowing that you still got Mike Evans out. I know you have Chris Godwin back, but he didn't look his best when he first came back from injury, and I mean, that's kind of expected. But yeah. Anyway, here I'm gonna lean towards Seattle at home. In this one, I just feel like it's a safer bet. The Buccaneers have some concerns on offense with injuries, defensively too. The Bucs are just gonna beat up all in general. So I was just leaning towards Seattle. This one, I do think Sam Darnold, with his more healthier weapons, should be able to move down the field a little bit more, just to give Seattle that upper edge. But at the same time, but absolutely, you see the spread there. I'm definitely taking the Bucs with the points though, because the Bucs, they can win this game too, even with the injuries. I think the Buccaneers have proved themselves that they can be clutch no matter what, no matter who's on the floor. So as long as you have Baker Mayfield, I think you pretty much have a chance to win any game. So I'll take the Bucs in that. I'll take the Bucs with the points there. I'm actually feeling pretty good about that. I actually do think this will be a 1-point game. And then over 44.5. I feel pretty good about that. I think we're going to see enough offensive explosion. Even the Bucs don't have their key weapons. I think they're good enough team to move the ball down if you score at a consistent rate. So yeah, 24-23 I got for this game. I actually feel pretty good. I'm actually going to get the score right. This is one of those picks that I actually feel score-wise, and I think I'm actually going to get right. So we'll see what happens here. 24-23. I'm going to lean towards Seattle having more of the offensive threats on offense. 1-point game of the week. But I'm going to take the Seattle at home. Just if Tampa Bay was more healthier, I would take the Bucs here. Alright, next up we have Detroit taking on against Cincinnati, and I don't think we need to explain anything here because we already know what this is. This is the ass meeting of the week, and I think nobody is going to disagree with me with that. Like I said, I would be surprised if you guys ever disagree with me on that. But here's the most disappointing thing about anything. This game will be so much more entertaining, and I think we said this the last two weeks. The matchup would be way more entertaining if Joe Burrow was playing. Joe Burrow was playing. Cincinnati has a shot at winning this. But even though this game is in Cincinnati, even though I can see them coming out with somewhat revenge, and Detroit's defense gives up like a big play every now and then, so I can see maybe the Bengals having that, but man, their offense looks so bad. It looks terrible with Jake Browning. It looks like it just looks like they can't do anything out on the football field as long as they have Joe Burrow. And like that's just not the way to go. If you do that, you're most likely going to lose a whole bunch of games. As I said, they still have Jamar Chase, they still have T. Higgins, and they still have Chase Brown. So it's just kind of curious why this team's not moving the ball. At the same time, Jake Browning has been so bad so far, and I wasn't not expecting this. I thought Jake Browning was going to be just fine, but playing against a team like Detroit, who looks like themselves again after week 1, and they continue to look like themselves. They came off the Ravens win, and they ended up beating the living shit out of Cleveland last week. This game is just ain't gonna be close. I just don't. I don't even want to get into Detroit. I already know what Detroit's gonna do. They're gonna run the ball. They're gonna throw the ball all over the place. I already know what they're gonna do with Cincinnati's defense. But it's just I just don't know what to say about it. It's just snot pounding, ass beating. I just not expect this game to be close. If you're a Cincinnati fan, I wouldn't recommend watching it. I wouldn't recommend going to this game. So 38-13, ass beating, snot pounding, whatever you want to call it. Over 49.5, Detroit minus 10.5. Like I said, I kind of want to avoid big spreads now, especially road teams, but this is one of those ones. I know I say this every single week, but this is one of those ones I just feel the most comfortable about it. So, like I said, Detroit, they should be able to take care. They should be able to come to Cincinnati and whoop their ass in front of the home crowd on their home floor. Alright, now we have Washington taking on against the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to take the Chargers here, 27-23. For Washington, yes, there's still some injury concerns that we do have to watch out over there. But now since they got, and I do think that Jayden Daniels is coming back this week, which does give him a massive boost. Here's the thing though. They looked pretty bad last week against Atlanta. Yeah, I know they did. Their defense looked horrible, but they didn't have Terry McLaurin or Jaden Daniels in that game. And I did say that if that happens, I'm taking Atlanta to win that game. But I accidentally put this switching on my ESPN thing. That's what I'm still pissed about. But anyway, I do think Jaden Daniels is coming back for this game. I did see that Deebo Samuel's back on the injury report, and I do not know what's up with him, but I did see he's back. I did see he's somewhat on the injury report. And Terry McLaurin, I still don't have anything for him, but if I make a bold prediction here, I think it's him leaning towards being out again this week. So I just didn't really know what to do here in Washington, knowing the situations. If Washington was fully healthy, could I pick him here? Yes, I think Washington at full strength could beat the Chargers, especially coming off the Chargers last game. The Chargers coming off of a brutal loss against the Giants last week, which is literally unthinkable. I don't think anybody would have thought that wasn't going to happen. But they ended up losing, and for the Chargers, let's be honest here, that's kind of embarrassing. But anyway, here, I do think the Chargers will bounce back. Chargers are way better at home than they are on the road anyway. I do think this game is going to be close. Even with Jaden Daniels coming back, I think Jaden Daniels will keep this game close. We've seen it over and over again. He is capable by himself to keep games close. But with this game being LA, Washington have to fly across country. I just feel like I have to go with the Chargers with this one, especially being at home. And I just believe in Justin Herbert. They lost last week. I still believe in this team. I still love watching this team play. They're probably one of the more entertaining teams to watch in the entire year, and I'm gonna stick with it. So Chargers should be able to win this game. I'm spending a pound of rock, do whatever they want to here. Same thing with the Commanders. I do think they'll have success on both sides of the ball, but this Chargers defense is great. I think they're better than Washington. They should be able to get down the field. Justin Herbert should be able to do what he wants. So yeah, I'm gonna really try to charge in this one, but definitely a very entertaining game here. So over 48.5, I feel pretty good about that. I think we're gonna see a lot of offensive fun moments in this one, and then the Chargers minus 2.5, I feel pretty good about. But in a very close game here, like exactly, if Washington was fully healthy, can I take them to win? Also, by the way, I forgot to put this one. This is my trickiest game of the week award, so I forgot to put that out there. But yeah, trickiest game of the week. Could go either way, but the deciding factor was Washington's injury. So just with that being said, and the Chargers being at home, I will take the Chargers in this matchup, but this one's another one that can go either way. That's why it's the trickiest game of the week. Alright, now we have the Patriots taking on against the Buffalo Bills. I got the Bills winning this one 31-24, and it definitely a very entertaining game here. I don't know why that score is way over there, but whatever. We were looking at this game, the Patriots. I'm not gonna lie, the Patriots look good. They look good. These last 2 weeks, the Patriots look very impressive as a team right now. Like I said, they're one of those teams that are 2-2, but I think they're better. I think the Patriots are better than what the record shows. I think they're better than the 2-2 team. But take a look at this game real quick. I think this game could go. I think this game could realistically go either way. Honestly, because I think the Patriots I think the Patriots do match up well with the Bills. I think the Patriots do have some key players that could go off against the Bills, knowing that the Bills defense it's been good, but they do intend to allow points, and I do think the Patriots offense has been at least shown some good stuff on that side of the ball, to at the point that you would think the Patriots could score a little bit, and I do think they will, and I do think the Patriots will hang on to the game. I'm just not expecting them to win, especially Sunday night in the Mafia, which I said yesterday in the Big Show. It feels like the Bills are always home, and I just don't know why, but it just feels like that trend with them. But like I said, we're wearing those winter white uniforms. I can't wait to watch that. James Cook, I do think he's been so far fantastic. My fantasy team, I hope he keeps going. Josh Allen's been great. I gotta go with the Bills with this one, 31-24. But however, and this could be a little bold here, but I am going to take the Patriots with the points. Plus 7.5. I think the Patriots actually have a chance to actually make this a game. Listen, if the Saints, you got to look at it this way too. If the Saints can keep the Bills within 12 points, what they lose, 31-19. So if they can keep them, I believe, I could be wrong, but if they can keep them within like 15 points, I think the Patriots can do that. So I'm going to lean towards the Patriots in this game. I do think they keep it within a touchdown. But however, I will take the Bills to win the game though. 31-24. It's a very entertaining game. Could go either way, if I'll be completely honest with you. But we're gonna lean towards the Bills. And the over 48.5, like I said, I'm expecting great out. We already know we're gonna give them the Bills offense. The Patriots offense has been more consistent, so my decision was lean towards the over on this one. Like I said, Sunday Night Football should be pretty entertaining. By the end of the day, I'm gonna go with the Bills. Being in Mafia, wearing those rivalry winter white uniforms, they got to get the job done here in Buffalo. Alright, and last but not least, here we have the Chiefs taking on against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I got the Chiefs winning this one 26-20. Listen, I do believe in Jacksonville. They're a 3-1 team, and if I'm being honest, I think they deserve to be a 3-1 team. I think they look good on all situations of the football field. I think they look good. Maybe not offensively. They kind of look a little suspicious offensively. If you want to say that, that's fair. But yeah, I'm gonna lean towards Jacksonville. In this one, like I said, I can see their offense playing well in this game. But the more you think about it, you look at the Chiefs and what they have done the last 2 weeks. They look like themselves the last 2 weeks. They look like the Kansas City Chiefs that we all know and love. They look like the Chiefs that the Super Bowl dynasty has looked. And the Chiefs, they're gonna get nothing but better from here on out. Like I said, you still have your majority of guys coming back. You get Xavier Worthy looking back, and your offense looks like a completely different team. The Patrick Mahomes, he's so good at using his options. He has like 3 or 4 wide receivers he can go to, plus Travis Kelce. Like, he's just so good at using his options, and I think he's one of the best quarterbacks at using all his options. So yeah, with that being said, I am going to go with the Chiefs to win this game. If they continue to play the football they're playing, or they're currently playing these last 2 weeks, I think they'll be just fine. They could go on a big winning streak here, especially with their schedule softening up a little bit. But like I said, I do believe in Jacksonville. I think their defense could force a couple pressures in this game. I don't think KC will have the best offensive game. That's why I only have them at 26 points. I do think that Jacksonville will force a couple turnovers, because Jacksonville's defense have actually done a really good job of forcing turnovers. Actually, Jacksonville has probably been one of the most disruptive defenses in the entire NFL, and that by itself can be very impressive. But at the end of the day here, I just believe in Chiefs. I believe in Patrick Mahomes. I think they're back. I think Andy Reid is coaching his ass off right now. I think Travis Kelce is doing great. So I would say that, even though I'm expecting this one to be a trap game and kind of close, but I'm going to lean toward the Chiefs in this one. Chiefs minus 3.5, take that over. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to go with the Chiefs, man. They look good. They look like themselves. But I do think Jacksonville actually has a shot to win this game, because I actually do think they play good, but I don't trust Jacksonville's offense enough to get down the field and score the more points I think the Chiefs are going to. So that's just kind of like my deciding factor on that. So like I said, Monday Night Football, I'm glad we only have one game this week, but that's what it is. Like I said, so if you guys haven't already, make sure you hit the like, subscribe button for more. Make sure to join the Discord, links in the description. Make sure you guys please join the NBA Fantasy. That's going to be coming up soon, and I do appreciate in advance. This is BigBearNation.com. Peace out. Stay safe. Enjoy week 5, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.